And good day, everybody. Hopefully, you guys are having a wonderful day in your area. We're having a wonderful day here down at Divine Oracle Podcast. Yes, today is a great celebration today. Today, I turned 50 years old, but went into Starbucks this morning with our guest, and the girl behind the counter thought I was actually 38, 39 years old. Gosh, I must look good for my age. Anyway, so as I do say, welcome to our special guest. And our special guest is
Jill.
Yeah. Hey, Jill, how's it going?
It's going well, and happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Yes, another year, another day. So,
Yep, it is definitely that.
So-
and it is sunny outside today in
Yes.
most places.
yes. So I know you've gone through quite a bit within your own life. And you've actually told me some confidential stuff, which we will not be airing actually here. Underneath our show directly, we do not talk about politics at all, but
As much as you can.
yes, it all depends about your readings and everything else. We're going to do a little bit personal readings actually off and on, and yeah. So you want to let some of the viewers know a little bit about yourself?
Well, I can say it. I'm 47, so I'll be 48 in a couple weeks.
And pretty damn good at looking at it.
Yeah, I actually have been carded a few times at a couple stores when I've asked for things and like, how old are you? And I'm like, how old do you think I am? And it's been pretty nice to get carded even at my age. So growing up, I've had I would have to say, a pretty decent life. Both parents married, no fights, no arguments, no divorce. I'm one of those kids where there wasn't much going on in the household. So going in that direction, going to high school, growing up, life is life. We all experience things that are good and bad. My dad passed away in 97, and that was probably the hardest thing in my whole life. Thinking about him just gets the tear going anyway. So. Anyway, he was a good guy. A lot of things around his death hit me hard, and I lost a 6-month period of life that comes back in small little bits and pieces. But I have to say, everything I've gone through has made me the person I am today, and I have done a lot of helping with a lot of people.
Yeah. No, I understand exactly what it's like for a parent. I just lost my mother February 24th at 9:20 p.m. So I do understand where you're coming from for losing a parent. I know that your mom's still alive, which is awesome. And you're married.
Yes, I've been married since 2007. I have to think about that one. Yeah, I believe it was 2007 we got married. I have 3 kids, 13, 17, and almost 20. And open disclosure, I never wanted kids, and I ended up with 3 of them. So
Yeah.
From the time I was 15, I kept saying, I don't want kids, don't want kids, don't want kids. I asked doctors, could I get fixed? Could I get, have my insides taken out? And doctor said, oh, not until you're 21. 21 comes, nope, not until you're 25. 25 comes, nope, not until you're 30. And, by then I'd already, had 2 kids. I asked if I could get my tubes tied, and they said, no, not until you're 35. And lo and behold, my youngest comes along, and it's like, now am I able to get my tubes tied? No more babies? And they said, yes, now you can do it. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. No more babies for me.
Yeah.
As you get older, it gets harder for females to carry, and our health isn't always the greatest. And I was in the category of obese or super morbidly obese. So I was extremely overweight and had a special, I had to go to Hamilton for all of my appointments. So it was not what you call fun. Health-wise, pregnancies were decent, just a lot of issues that I got over. But yeah, my kids all understand I never wanted kids, and they were, Mom, now you have us. And I'm like, yeah, and I can't give you back. There's nowhere to give you back to. And so it's kind of a running joke in our family that, Mom didn't want kids and now she's got 3. And, I'm kind of looking forward to in, 20 years from now when my kids start having kids. I'm still young. I don't need grandbabies just yet. So I'm just waiting until I'm in my, if my kids are listening, my 70s. I always said 50s, but we're getting close to 50. I'm not ready to be a grandparent at that age yet. So
Yeah.
we're waiting.
Now, whereabouts is Hamilton by any chance? Because I noticed that you said Hamilton. Whereabouts is that?
It's about 40 minutes from where we are in the region, in Waterloo region. So
Is that close to Toronto at all?
opposite direction of Toronto.
Okay. All right. So it's kind of close to Toronto, for those that are listening global wide. But yeah. So I know though that you and we go all the way back to high school.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's quite a long time.
Yeah, back to the mid 90s.
Yeah. And how did we meet?
Well, I was in grade 9. And I had come out of my junior high school years. I was supposed to go to Eastwood, by the way, but I ended up at University Heights. And in order to keep out of trouble, I decided to go to the library and join the library staff because it was quiet and kept me out of the trouble and kept me out of the way. And that's how I met Brother Chris.
Yeah. So Gillian and we do go way back. A lot of great things have happened to us. So yeah, I'm sorry getting personal, so our viewers can get to know you. Now there was a time period though that we didn't really talk to each other because we were busy with our own lives, but we reconnected back together. And you did see us actually underneath national television.
Yeah, when you guys were on Rogers. That was going back quite a few years ago. I think when we moved from Guelph to Cambridge in 2012 is when I reconnected with you.
Yeah.
And we had been talking on and off on social media, but it wasn't consistent because I'm not a big social media person. So I'm not a big techie person either. So
yeah. You were saying before we went live though, you looked at the screen, you're like, "Holy cow! I wouldn't even know where to start."
Yeah, no, that's not for me. I don't do podcasts. I don't do shows. It's not my thing because I don't do tech. I took a tech course, way back in the day, but I just don't do technology very well. I'm a reader by, rights. I have lots of reading apps. I know how to download reading apps. I'm good for those. But when it comes to this kind of setup, looking at the screen, it's like I wouldn't know what to click. I wouldn't know what to hover over. Not my forte.
Yeah. So we'll be right back after this, and we'll discuss a little bit more.
This arts and craft market at the Stratford Park Museum. 57 vendors showcasing handmade creations for the community to enjoy and purchase. Organizers say the goal of the market is to bring cultures together in peace and celebration while also exchanging knowledge.
Alrighty, so that's a quick commercial break. Jill, I know though that you being constantly busy with us, I do call you my wife. For those of just listening worldwide, I am actually a two-spirit person. Basically means that I am Indigenous. I am a gay spirit, a gay male. But I live my life both actually in the female and male area. Again, though, I do call you my wife. And what does your personal family think about that?
They actually kind of find it a little bit on the funny side because I have male friends, female friends. I have friends of all kind, and I've always had the statement of you being one of the straightest gay people I know. If you didn't know that someone was gay, you don't see it until they tell you or they indicate that they are. And I have no issues. And as a running joke, I'm your wife.
Yeah.
And my kids just find that absolutely hilarious. My husband, he's like, so when are you seeing your second husband? And I'm like, I don't know. Whenever he calls and says, hey, we need you, because I help out a lot with you guys and you and your husband.
Yeah.
When you guys are doing your paranormal stuff and investigations and tours and stuff. So
Yeah. Well, that brings in a good question, though. I know, though, that we've done approximately over 500 locations. That there is Haunting Live Podcast, which here at Divine Oracle Podcast we're part of. But you've done quite a number, actually, of investigations with us throughout the province of Ontario. What are some of the ones that you can personally remember?
I remember doing one in a lady's house, and I was the one to set up the cameras and verify. I had to go around, check doors, windows, to debunk what people might think as sound. So I'm the behind the scenes person. I would help set up and run around. And so we were doing this investigation, and we had the camera set up. And I happened to notice in one camera that there was a dark shadow that went down the basement stairs and then down a hallway into a back room and then disappeared. Now I can verify there was no one in the basement at the time it was happening. And we heard some noises after, and I went to investigate, and there was no one around to cause these problems. So that's kind of one that stuck out because doors were swinging, there was sounds, there was some words, unidentifiable. We had sound going, and it was just kind of surreal because a lot of people go, oh, paranormal is not real, ghosts aren't real. Oh, excuse me. But it's when you open your mind up to hear it and to experience it, that's when things happen. It's just it's one of the ones that have stuck out. The other one was, I believe, in the St. Catharines, Niagara area. We had gone down because a lady was experiencing a lot of soldier activity going through her house, and a lot of feeling of discontent and what she felt was anger. And again, I was there to set up, and I was sitting on the couch. I had pen and paper, well, a book in my hand, and I ended up going into some form of meditative state. And I started writing things down, and got a whole bunch of information on pages that, if you didn't know the person who lived there, she clarified and said most of what I was writing was what was actually happening in real life in her house. But I had never been to the house, and I had no knowledge of where we were going. So this was kind of like hitting me in the forefront.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that one precisely because I know one other person was with us, and you weren't with us in this one room. So we were in a bedroom, light switch, like a light lamp actually being in the room. It was unplugged from the socket. Anyway, so it's the light turned on by itself.
Yeah, we got that on camera.
Yeah, it turned on by itself, and then all of a sudden she started asking questions, and that as soon as she started asking questions and asked if it was her actually belated husband, the light switch turned off. We did double check to see if it was plugged in, and no, it was not plugged in. Now, for people that might be getting kind of freaked out from hearing that, what would you say to people that are just fairly new getting into the spiritual community?
Keep your mind open. It is scary if it's a new experience for you. Um, a lot of people will say something, but you can debunk it yourself. Um, Double check everything. Make sure the door, if it swings, does it creak? When you open windows, how wide are they open? How much airflow goes through? Check your plugs, and if light switches are on or off. You can even put a piece of tape on it to verify, and if the light goes on and off and the tape hasn't moved, then that kind of tells you something's going on. So as you're coming into doing paranormal or investigations or experiencing spirits or ghosts, just keep an open mind. They're not always there to hurt you. Sometimes they're just there to give you a little scare. Sometimes it's more of a joke. So everybody has different experiences.
Yeah. Now, I know, though, that earlier during this podcast, so that you said that you have a couple kids.
Yes.
What are their views, since they're much younger, right? And we're adults, right? So looking actually at a kid's view, what would you say about their view within the spiritual paranormal side?
Well, they're my kids and they're part of me, and they're very much, one of them is into the paranormal side of things. She's had experience right from the time she was little. She's my oldest, and she used to play with her spiritual friend when she was old enough to crawl, old enough to walk. And she would be constantly playing a ball in the room. And I, as the parent, did not want to admit that something like that was going on in my house, because it's not something parents wish on their children, to have that kind of experience. It's what's going on. And so I tried to debunk. I, put the ball in the room and, things that were round to try and find if the floor was unlevel, level, not, and it turned out that there was a spirit playing with her, and she grew up with that same spirit. To this day, that spirit is still around, not as often because of her age, but she still has those experiences today. My middle child, kind of on the opposite side, she really wants to have like a spiritual encounter so bad. It doesn't always happen for her. She's very open to it. I think in some ways a little desperate. She's like, Mom, why does it happen to her but not me? I'm like, well, maybe because you're wanting it too much. Back off and see what happens. And my son, he's always had more of a negative experience with it. Constantly suffers from night terrors, always saying there's something under his bed, something in his wall. He's always hearing things. Somebody's watching him. So he's had more of a negative experience impact with it. And we're teaching him, well, I'm teaching him how to drown it out using white lights, simple incantations and simple demands of saying, you're not here, you need to go. I don't want you here. Just simple things, because he's only 13, so he's kind of getting into it. So
That's a gosh. And we'll be right back again.
This arts and craft market at the Stratford Park Museum. 57 vendors showcasing handmade creations for the community to enjoy and purchase. Organizers say the goal of the market is to bring cultures together in peace and celebration while also exchanging knowledge.
Alrighty, so yeah, we're here with Gillian right now. She does help out with HauntingLIVE Podcast. She's behind the scenes person, so she's a go-to person, and we're seeing exactly what her spiritual life is, actually as a parent, and also for dealing with stuff within her past. So yes, we are talking with Gillian. Now, Gillian, I know though that you've lived actually in a couple of haunted houses. One of them though was one of your former last houses that you actually lived in.
yeah.
And there was a lot of energy to actually do with the house. Can you sort of let the viewers know how old this property was?
Okay, so the property is located in Cambridge, Ontario. We call it the Wellington House. It is now 169 years old. One of the originals to the area. I did a lot of research on it because apparently the owners had no idea how old their house was. As a renter, I wanted to find out because we started having some more negative experiences in 2018. My middle daughter, she's a digger. She likes to dig holes. And she thought it would be really fun to start digging holes in our fairly large backyard. And she got to the point in our backyard where she got this hole going, and it went down about 7 or 8 feet. And she unearthed a wooden door and a structure-like place. And we started noticing really heavy, dark feelings of evil intent, I'll have to say. And this really caused me to have to put my thinking cap on and put my paranormal spiritual investigation cap on. It's not my forte. It's not my strength. It's not my full-time thing. I dabbled in it growing up, and as a teenager, you tend to go goth and you tend to go in that direction. And this entity was very evil-like, to the point where everybody in the household was experiencing it. And it grew exponentially. It started out no bigger than the size of a cat, and it became so huge. It was almost bigger than the house. And it was very energy draining. It drained all of my energy. My husband is not what you call a big believer. He has had experience with some spiritual stuff in his own personal life. Not a lot, just a little bit. But this was even scaring him to the point where he's like, "Hun, we need to do something. Call up your friends, have them come and do an investigation, have them try and cleanse the property, make this thing go away." My oldest daughter at the time, she was, I think, 14 or 15, and she was drawing these pictures. Actually, no, she was 12 or 13. She was drawing pictures, and I showed brother Chris the picture, and he wanted to verify what it was. So he went and asked a couple of his friends, and it was determined that it was like a level 4 or a level 5 evil entity. So I did what I recall doing, and I kind of mixed all of my knowledge together, and I was able to lock this thing into the backyard.
So can we go back though? You were saying though that your daughter was doing digging and there was an old wooden door.
Yes.
So with that time period, what actually took place? Like, yeah, your daughter's digging, she finds a door. Can you sort of elaborate more?
This is kind of where we started doing the research on the property. And we were looking at the library for the archives, and we discovered that the backyard itself was actually part of a farmland. So the house was farmed. The next piece was kind of like the little barns for the animals, and the backyard had like we want to call it a cellar, but it was like an outdoor storm cellar versus an inside one. And the grounds were actually brought up. Dirt was added to cover this up over the years. So when we got to that point of finding that door, I told my daughter, "No, we're done. But I want to see what's back there." We had a flashlight that had a beam that, you could see literally for miles going down, like one of those high beam flashlights. And I put it into the crack that was above the door, and the beam of light literally like disappeared. Like you couldn't see more than a couple of feet beyond the door, and it was so dark you couldn't see anything. And she was like, "Mom, I want to keep digging the hole. I want to be able to open the door." And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no." No, we're just going to dig the hole back in. We're going to put the dirt back in, and we're just going to say no more, because we're not opening that door. I don't know what's back there. I'm like, "No, I'm not going there."
Okay, all right. So I know your son did come across encounters. You got so the house though was actually 2-story old sort of Victorian style house.
Yeah.
Your son's room was 2 floors up, and he saw things at the window.
Yeah, he kept seeing reflections and faces and eyes. He was always going on about the red eyes in the window, and to him it was a scary face. He was little, so he couldn't identify other than it was a scary face and it was scaring him. So, putting curtains in the window, then he would hear sounds coming from that side, and then he would hear sounds coming from the wall. Well, we determined that the wall next to his bed was because the cat next door was in the wall. The neighbors had a false wall, and the cat would often get back there and chase the mice back and forth. So what he was hearing in the wall was the cat. But the window aspect, that was there was no way we could figure out what that was. It was just it was something that was scaring him, and so it got to the point where we changed rooms with him, and whatever it was would go with him to the next room, and he would see things in the window, and he just had the issue, and we didn't know how to take care of that. But managed to keep everything out of the house. So not much was in the house. Cleansing the house using the smoke from sage, white sage, doing salting, incantations, prayers, anything that was going to keep the house safe.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So basically, though, is what would you say to people though that actually say though that their house is haunted and they're petrified for getting actually an official paranormal team? And what would you say the first thing for them to do?
Do a little bit of research, find out what happened in your house, see if anything on your property. Go to the library, check your history, go to the city hall, go to municipality, ask questions, because getting to the root cause of why you're having those experiences can help and get you in the right direction. People who don't want to get the investigation teams in, if you're religious, go to a church, ask if their priest, pastor, minister, whoever can come and bless your home. You can put dream catchers up. You can try crosses. In the end, it comes down to how far are you willing to go to get your house cleansed. In experiences, I would say just call up a investigating team in your local area and have them come out and see what they discover. You know, they might be able to do more extensive research, figure it out. They can cross check references and stuff like that. So definitely go that route. It's not scary to call up people and say, "Hey, my house is haunted. Come help me."
Yeah. All right. Wonderful. And so I noticed though that right when you came here in the studio though that you did actually have your tarot cards, which are awesome. So I noticed that you do use tarot cards, and for myself though I use oracle cards. Before we end up the show, would you like to do a 3-card reading?
I can try. Again, I'm not a big oracle tarot card reader. I dabble. I'm not experienced.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. But you did bring them though, I saw,
Yeah.
which is awesome. Again, though, is if you guys would like to be able to find out more information about Gillian, don't hesitate. Get in contact with Haunting Live Podcast. That's hauntinglivepodcast.com. And then that way, though, basically the information is being brought forward to Jill, and Jill can get in contact with you directly that way. If you guys are experiencing anything, I bet Jill would have no problem to get in contact with you and sort of help you out, especially from a mother's view of what would be best off.
Yeah, especially with the kids when they're experiencing things, and it's not always a bad thing. You know, not always something that needs to go to the doctor. It's about finding out what the issue is. On a medical standpoint, if everything turns out in your home is fine, there's no investigation needed, then yeah, obviously, go to the doctor, go get special help. But other than that, reach out if you have something in the ways of questions when it comes to paranormal, spiritual, any kind of help that you might need. Don't be afraid to ask.
All right. So I've actually drawn my cards. I'm always living with the Native Spirit cards since I am 3rd-generation Indigenous. I bet Jill's going to probably grab 3 cards actually out, and she's going to take a look actually at hers. I'm going to start off with though. So again, those I'm using the Denise Lynn cards. Really beautiful pictures these are. And the first one though is Wonder Healer. The second one though is White Buffalo. And then the last one, though, is Song of the Wild. So with the first one, though, Wander Healer, basically, though, is we always need healing. Doesn't matter whereabouts in our spiritual life, though, that we need healing, but we always need healing altogether. That could be emotionally, that could be physically, or mentally. Basically, though, is looking to somebody though that knows exactly what they're doing. This one here, though, basically says go do some meditation. That way, you're working actually on yourself at first. Second one, though, is actually due to the white buffalo. White buffaloes are only seen actually at period times. It's hard to see a white buffalo always compared to a normal buffalo, but the white buffalo actually has a spiritual meaning. Again, those, like I said, though, that you can only see it at special times, because the purpose is there for you to just heal yourself and make sure, though, that you're connected. The last one, though, actually, Song of the Wild, though, is basically, though, and that sort of deals with the first one, which I was saying about meditation, though, is basically, though, is get into a wilderness area. That could be with the forest. That could be with your own property. But basically, those connect actually with the wildness, meditate, all right, and always give praise, sing a song. So, and Jill, what did you get?
I have Wands, the Magician, and the Star. Quite a bit of the magic going on here. I guess with the talking of the spiritual world, I guess these are the cards that came up. Again, I'm not what you call a tarot reader card, but wands for me would be pointing things in different directions. Having that connection point. For the magician, obviously, the magic of things that are going on around you. Things are not always as they appear. Always there's an illusion that can be done and make it appear real when, there's always behind the scenes kind of thing, which is I'm behind the scenes. So that kind of reads to me, I'm the magic maker. And the star is something that is something that's always up and looking down on things. And it's the white or the brightness in your life that's the pinnacle point that points in the direction of where you need to go with how you're doing things. So it's, to me, the star is the same as the rest of it. It's giving you a direction to go.
All right, wonderful. So yes, again, those check us out each day. We're live again, though, on Saturday at 2:15 Eastern Standard Time. That's myself and my colleague, which is Gypsy Lady Eva, here on the Divine Oracle Podcast. I'm sorry about that. We're going to be discussing to do with the swing, and that's the way, actually, not swinging around with people or with a child swing, but that there is to do with connection within the spiritual community. Thanks a lot, though. You guys have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you guys later.